All right, so today we've got a little bit of a different project to go through and do. I have got a whole bunch of chains, binders, ratchet straps, come along rigging gear, all of that kind of all stuffed into this shelf, amongst with a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's not working great for me. It's not really workable, and I'm sick of how it's actually working for me. So what the goal is here, at least for part of today, is to go through and organize this in a way that I can grab a box and go. I do a fair bit of equipment recovery, either for myself, sometimes I go help my brother, sometimes I'm grabbing stuff for the kids. Sometimes it's equipment, sometimes it's cars, sometimes it's motorcycles, sometimes it's machine tools, just depending on what it is that we're getting. And one of the things that I need is binders, chains, ratchet straps, all of that kind of stuff is very useful to have. But it's all kind of completely horribly organized, as you can see here, and I'm sick of how that is actually working out for me. It takes me a very long time to go through and get everything organized into a way that's useful. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull all this stuff out, we're going to lay it all out, and then we're going to organize it into some milk crates. I also have gone ahead and purchased a Kennedy 1022 top opening tool chest, which I think is just the bee's knees for what I want to do, because I want to go ahead and create myself a wrecking or salvage or pickup toolbox and be able to just run with that. So we'll be getting this thing cleaned up a little bit, and then we'll be starting to populate it out. I have enough duplication of tools that I can get started on that, and then I'll pick up some additional tools to fully populate it with everything. Well, I guess we'll call it like a 90% box, and then the other 10% of stuff you pick on a project specific basis. But I want to have something I can grab and go. Each time I do one of these wrecking trips, I end up in a situation where I spend probably at least an hour and a half to 2 hours on the start and an hour and a half to 2 hours on the finish, packing and unpacking tools, and it's not particularly efficient and it's kind of annoying. So we're gonna try and do better here and get things to be cleaner. I also have a lovely pair of side handles for that I picked up straight from McMaster Car, and we'll be mounting those on the side of the toolbox because I really love how big these handles are. It's going to make it easy to pick that up. So that is the game plan for today. We'll see how that ends up going, but we're going to get some major organizing done in this area because I'm sick of how unworkable it all is. All right, so we got a bunch of stuff going on here, and all of it needs to be reorganized, so we're going to do that. I am likely going to take my load binding chains, and I'm going to cut 2 of them in half. I've decided I'm going to do that. And the reason I'm going to cut them in half is that they're each 20 feet long, and I have 4 of them, and I have 4 binders. But so far, with all of the stuff that I've been doing, I consistently find they're too damn long, and I have to lose ends and tie them up and chain them up, and it's just kind of a big nuisance. So I've decided I'm going to take 2 of them, cut them in half. I'm going to end up with 4 10-foot chains and 2 20-foot chains. That way I still have some long ones in case I need to do something where I need a long chain. I can always hook the short chains together if I need to, but in general, I'm going to end up with chains that are more handleable. And I think that's going to be a big improvement for me. So we're going to go ahead, get the angle grinder out, zip 2 chains in half, put new hooks on the end, and then we're going to go ahead and organize them into milk crates. I've got a total of 6 high-quality US-made milk crates that I've been using, and we're going to go ahead and get those sorted out, and then we're going to reorganize everything. I think it's going to be a big boon. I want to have it set up so I've got a crate that I can grab for ratchet straps, a crate that I can grab for smaller ratchet straps, a crate that I can grab for chains and binders. Just have it set up so that I can go, and then that should make doing some of these trips way easier on me. All right, so here it is. We've got the the chain laid out. Jack, you can actually grab one of the other chains and bring it over here. We're going to do the same thing for that. And we just used the angle grinder to cut one of the links. And we've got 2 new chain hooks here that we're going to go ahead and install. And then we'll have 2 10-foot chains. And that'll be, I think, much more convenient. So, huge improvement. The way I've got this set up now, I've got all my big ratchet straps in the red box, all my small ratchet straps and bungee cords in the blue box. And then the 2 green boxes have my chains and binders. I've got 4 10-foot chains and my lifting straps and 2 load binders in this crate. And then I've got 2 20-foot chains, 2 binders, 3 binders actually, and to come along in this crate. And that gives me everything. I'm super happy about that. That reorganized everything into a super compact space, and the crates are all grab and go. They're a little bit heavy on the chain ones, but they're okay. And then the ratchet strap ones are basically perfect. This is exactly what I wanted for a grab and go. Super happy with this. All right, I am pretty happy with the outcome here in the decluttering of this area. You can ignore the stuff on the ground here. There's a few things we still have to put away. But the way that I've set this up now, this is going to be awesome for doing rescue missions and vehicle recoveries and anything else that I need to do. Went ahead and set it up with the milk crates in here in such a way that I can just grab them and go. These are all of my small ratchet straps. Then the red one in the back has all of the big ratchet straps. I've got a hydraulic jack sitting right there. And then down in the bottom, the way that I've set this up is I've got my 4 10-foot chains in the front bucket, and I've got my 2 20-foot chains in the back bucket. Those ones are color-coded green, and the come along sits inside that one, and it's all just perfect. They're just the right weight. They're not too terribly heavy, they're not too light, they're just right. I've also got all of my axle straps and my lifting straps in the front one, so they're easy to get to. And then this toolbox sits right here. That's going to be my rescue box. So right in the front of the garage, easily accessible. I can just come in, grab all my stuff and go. I'm super happy about that. And then on the other end, I actually put both of my industrial oil containers in there. So that has things like Vactra and spindle oil and 10-weight machine oil and all of my air compressor oil, vacuum pumps, all of that kind of stuff all goes right in there. Easily accessible right around the machine tools. Overall, it's a really, really big improvement, and the area is a lot more workable. It still looks a little cluttered because I've got some active projects going on here, and I'm just using that for storage. Once I'm done with that part of the project, that'll clear up. I'll have more and more and more space as we progress here. But super thrilled with how that came out. That's a really, really good improvement. Alright, so we're here back working on the Kennedy chest. We're going to get this finished off, and then this part of it will be done. I've got these awesome handles that I got from McMaster Car. These are made in USA, so it goes well with the chest. And I did tweak them a little bit. I drilled out all the holes here to 1/4 inch because I want to use 1/4 inch fasteners. So I have 3/4 inch length screws and 1/2 inch length screws, so we'll use whatever's most appropriate. And then I have regular nuts and nylocks, which I think I'm going to run with the nylocks. It's my preference. So we've got 2 sets of handles. We're going to go through and install them, and I'm going to set them kind of high. I want, when I pick up the toolbox, I don't want it to be tippy or trying to get away from under me. So I'm going to set them kind of high, and I've been looking at how the toolbox is constructed here. And so what we'll do is we'll set this down, open this up, and so I have a couple of things going on here. I have a rail here that's double reinforced in the back. You can kind of see it on that side. So I would very much like to drill my bottom holes through there to capture the strongest part of the chest. And so that puts the bolt hole right on this rivet line sort of thing. That'll be a good place to put it. And then the upper one can just land wherever, and I don't think it's actually going to matter. The way that it closes, wherever they land, even if they landed in this hollow section here, it would be fine. I'm not too terribly worried about that. So we're going to kind of go through and place that. And I think what I want to do is I want to place this so that I'm approximately centered up on these 3 holes, and then install it like that, and I should be good. Alright, so we've gone ahead and marked out a couple of squares here, and what I've done is I've set the scale at the bottom of the rivets, and I've gone ahead and marked the 2 locations where I want to put my holes. There's little blue crosses here. They're really hard to see, honestly, but they're gonna go just like this. And then what we're gonna do, I'm kind of happy with that location. It looks like what I want, so that's really good. It's centered up nicely. There's a 4 3/4 inch distance between the marks here and then the rivet, so I'm happy with that. We'll go ahead and put a small center punch mark right here. I have this transfer punch that I'm using because it's what I've got, but honestly it's not a really great transfer punch. I might go grab my regular spring-loaded center punch for this. Yeah, because this transfer punch is too shallow. But that's alright. We'll just mark out the holes. It'll be good. And then we will go ahead and get that drilled. And once we've got the first 2 in, we'll put the bolts through, and then we can mark all the rest of the holes exactly where we want them without having any kind of problems. Alright, so I did goof a little bit here. This center hole ended up a little bit closer to the formed crossbar than I had intended. Would have been better to have moved it down slightly, but it's done now. It should be fine. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this screw and I'm going to grind one side of the head off so it can fit flush against the rail in there, and that should actually work out just fine. So we'll go ahead and get that touched up and go from there. Alright, there it is. That's the first one installed. It is completely rock solid. Super happy with that. There's no flex or give in that, and these are rated to carry as much as I can load this up for. As a matter of fact, I probably couldn't pick it up if it was going to be a problem. So super duper ultra happy with that. That is going to be phenomenal. I just have to put the one on the other side. Alright, so here we are. We're all done. Got our handles installed on both sides. Super happy with that. The bottom 3 fasteners go directly through the reinforcing rib, and the top 2 are actually set up in the recess. So they work out really well, just like that. You can see that they're in this recess here. Nothing interferes in any way, and I am genuinely super happy with that. This is going to be an awesome tool chest. Going to tuck it right back in there where it goes and start populating this out with all of the tools that I want in my rescue box, which I suppose is going to be pretty similar to the 90% box that Watch Wes Work put on his channel. That was a sweet setup, and that's actually what inspired this. So super happy with that. Things are awfully cramped in my shop right now until I get this Ford F5 done, but this is just gonna slide right in there just like that. That is tucked in its home. I've got this set right next to all of my rigging crates. Ugh, that one's caught. This is super awesome. I'm super happy with the milk crates set up, my ratchet straps, my chains and binders, my lifting straps, and now my tool chest all set up there. And I love being able to just grab this handle. That's absolutely phenomenal. Super thrilled with the outcome there. It's been a good improvement in the shop. So now we can carry on with the Coleman.